We're going to start by just describing what an imaginary number is and giving you the basics. So first, let's talk about the need. Previously, if I said x squared equals 9, you'd say no problem. I'll take the square root of each side and x equals plus or minus 3 because we all know that 3 squared is 9. We also all remember that when we're taking the square root of each side, we get a positive and a negative answer. But up until now, if I said x squared equals negative 9, you'd either stop immediately, or you'd try to take the square root of both sides, and you'd stop there because you'd say, I can't take the square root of a negative number. Well, that's where I comes in. I is a defined value. It looks like a variable, but it's actually equal to a particular number. I is defined to be the square root of negative 1. And it's one of those things where we're like, but wait, we can't do that. Except we can. It's defined to be so. What that lets us do in that problem we were just talking about, instead of having to stop when we try to take the square root of both sides, we can now say, well, x equals plus or minus. Well, the square root of 9 is 3. The square root of the negative part of that is I. And all of a sudden we have two answers, just like we did before. So we're going to take a look at this a little bit more clearly as we do problem in example number 1. How do you write the square root of negative 54 using the imaginary unit I? Well, I'm going to suggest that you always get in the habit of breaking these problems into 3 parts. The first part will be the perfect square. The perfect square that divides evenly into negative 54 is 9. And then you'd look for the leftover. Well, what do I multiply 9 by to get 54? That's a 6. But wait, this wasn't a positive 54, it was a negative 54. So the third factor that we need to break out is the negative 1. Then we're going to simplify everything we can. We can take the square root of 9. It's 3. We can take the square root of negative 1. It's I. But we really can't take the square root of 3, at least not and get a nice cute number. So our final simplified answer here is 3i root 6. So let's just go back and give a couple of definitions. An imaginary number is a number in BI form. So it's any number which contains I. A complex number is any number in A plus BI form. So we describe that as having a real part and an imaginary part.